To your man, 100 Grand Ross with the Rock never stops. We got to keep talking about these Detroit Pistons because they keep doing their thing and they keep surprising us in so many beautiful ways. We got to dive into it in this video. But before I do, as always, yo, smash the like button for me. Remember, it's a small thing for you, but a big thing for the channel. All right. So I appreciate all the love and support. Smash that like button, hit subscribe and the bell for notifications. And remember, if you become a member, yo, the New Year's is here. Might as well kick it off with me at The Rock Never Stops. We talk about Detroit Pistons basketball, along with other NBA topics and all the like going on throughout the league. But today, today, topic at hand is a changing of the guard in Detroit. A changing of the guard. If you're not familiar with that terminology, it comes from uh, when guards would shift from guarding a castle, right? You would have a certain crew that's on for a certain time, and then you have a changing of the guard. You know, the guard that was there for maybe half a day leaves, and then another crew comes on. And each crew comes on, and they have their role for that time um, of that need specificity, right? Because the nighttime crew isn't the same as the daytime crew. What you watching out for at night ain't the same as what you watching out for during the day. Double entendre. You caught that. There's a changing of the guard that I'm sensing in 2026 for these Detroit Pistons. A true changing of the guard. Not just you know, oh, we got a new piece, like maybe a AJ Mitchell in OKC. That's not a changing of the guard. It's still SGA, Dort, J Dub, right? Isaiah Joe, Caruso, right? You know, it's just that's more of an added piece to the crew, to the roster. But there's a changing of the guard taking place in Detroit. Cade Cunningham is going to be him. He's going to be the cornerstone. He's the stalwart. He's what we're building all this around. But remember, I've said it many times before that before Jaden Ivey got hurt, he was supposed to be the one. He was supposed to be the one to be the running mate for Cade Cunningham. He was always who we foresaw as the running mate. Duncan Robinson was kind of a fill-in, kind of a last minute, oh shoot, our drummer went down, can't make it. We need a fill-in. And so you get the old veteran who's been playing the drums for a while. He's not necessarily as spectacular or filled with potential as the one that you had signed, but he'll do. But now, if I'm honest with you, I don't know if Duncan Robinson can do any longer. Let's be frank about it. Having anybody in your starting lineup who can be hunted by the defense, well, that's a weak link. That's a that's a hurdle that your team will have to get over. Game in, game out. And the reality is Duncan Robinson, as well as he does as a floor spacer, right? He goes on heaters. He has stretches where he just can't seem to miss, shooting it with people 3 inches from his face, pulling up on guys off the bounce, on the move. Duncan Robinson has done an admirable job, but he was never supposed to be it. He was never supposed to be the guy. He was never supposed to be the running mate to Cade Cunningham. And the reality is, as these other pieces have come on for the Detroit Pistons, Jalen Duren, Asar Thompson, of course, Cade, but Ivy's ascension, Isaiah Stewart, Ron Holland, Dennis Jenkins, Karis LeVert, Javonte Green. All of a sudden, the ability for Duncan Robinson to make up for his defensive inefficiencies is no longer something that he has access to. He no longer has the ability to hit enough threes to make up for his defensive deficiencies. And then comes Jaden Ivey, the return of the chosen prince. Jaden Ivey has been brought along slowly, real slow, real slow. I mean, shoot, he might still be on a minutes restriction, which is wild. I've never seen somebody on minutes restrictions for over a month, right? Unless they're Kawhi Leonard or Joel Embiid, right? But Ivy has been brought along slowly, real slow. He's been allowed to work through a lot of his struggles, conditioning, figuring things out. And maybe that's for the better. I've said this repeatedly. I respect JB Bickerstaff. He has not steered us wrong so far. So if he says that JI is not ready to go back into the starting lineup, I trust it. Remember, what you see as a coach day in and day out is completely different than what fans see. We see a good game, a bad game by Jaden Ivey. We assess it in good and bad. There are things that the coaching staff is assessing that has nothing to do with what we're even looking for. Maybe they just want to see how Jaden Ivey gets around that screen, that on-ball screen at the top. That's how they're gauging how ready he is. Maybe they're looking at his defensive rebounding statistics and how engaged he is on the boards. Maybe it's his ability to consistently get those paint touches. These smaller metrics of not just success, but improvement. Maybe there's a baseline that they are assessing him with. Because, as much as we malign Monty Williams, needed, should be, he got Jaden Ivey to buy into defense. And the defensive intensity that Jaden Ivey was forced to bring his game to, he was able to carry over last season with JB Bickerstaff to a degree. To a degree. But if I'm honest, there are times where Jaden Ivey's defense wanes. It wanes. Gets a little focused on offense. Maybe gets a little fatigued. Starts to take his foot off the gas defensively. And maybe what JB Bickerstaff, Luke Walton, and them are all trying to figure out is he truly bought in? Because if he's only going to play defense some of the time, half the time, enough to get minutes, then you might as well keep Duncan Robinson. They might be looking for things that we haven't even thought of. With that said, I don't think we can ignore any longer the decline that we've been seeing from Duncan Robinson. The reality is being hunted defensively, it impacts your self-esteem. It impacts your confidence. It impacts your focus. It impacts your overall game. When you go out there, keep in mind Duncan Robinson's not getting 10 to 15 shots, nor should he be. He's getting somewhere between 2 and 6, depending on if he hits one of his first 2. First 3 at the least. But if he doesn't, you got to pull him out. Because if he's not going to hit threes, he becomes not just a cone, as some of us say, but he's a liability. Because he really doesn't do anything else worthy of minutes, especially in a starting lineup. Especially in a starting lineup for a playoff team. Especially for a starting lineup for a playoff team that's the number 1 seed in the Eastern Conference, whom everybody is hunting. Everybody is looking up at. Everybody is saying to themselves, how do we get them? How do we beat them? And then they look straight to Duncan Robinson. They go, that's the weak link. That's the liability right there. Boom. Let's focus on him. Tiller the Hun was good. We're talking about Duncan Robinson and a changing of the guard. Building it up. Building it up. We can't ignore that Duncan Robinson's play has been declining. And even if he has a good game here and there, we know that it's not something that we can rely upon moving forward, especially as we get into the playoff hunt. And that's going to be February, March, April. But between now and the All-Star game, this, I believe, is the perfect time for a changing of the guard. It's time to get Jaden Ivey in there. Look, I've said it all the time. I've said it repeatedly. Look, it, you have got to rip the Band-Aid off eventually. He has got to, JB Bickerstaff and the Detroit Pistons have got to take the cast off. They got to take the boot off. They've got to allow that lineup to breathe. And when I say breathe, I mean they need the space to figure it out. Now, they've been trying to do it gradually, bringing Jaden Ivey off the bench very quickly to be able to run alongside Cade, Asar, Duran, Stu, Tobias. And I think that that's a great strategy. And we see it happening quicker and quicker and quicker. But the thing is, there comes a certain point in time where you're going to have to say, no, we need a bulk of the Cade, Asar, Duran minutes to be shared with Jaden Ivey. Speaking of sharing, can we share the like button real quick? I know we got 31 people in the chat, only 9 likes. Really appreciate all the love and support. Remember, it's a small thing for you, a big thing for the channel. Go ahead and smash that like button for me. Appreciate it. Appreciate you. Jaden Ivey and Cade Cunningham, I look at as very yin and yang. They are Russell Westbrook and Kevin Durant. Two very kind of different talents, very different styles of play. They are going to have to figure out, especially when you factor in Asar Thompson, ball handling responsibilities, playing off of one another, creating for one another, making the game easy for one another. I can't overstate how important it is that your best players make the game easy for one another. I can't. I just can't. When you look at the best teams, let's take SGA, Chet Holmgren, J-Dub. They make the game easy for one another. Yes, J-Dub and SGA have a very similar style, but Chet is very different. He's a very unique player. Wemby, Stephon Castle, De'Aaron Fox, Dylan Harper's on his way. Very different talents that have to figure out how to play with one another. But then you look at guys like Jamal Murray and Nikola Jokic. And that's where you begin to see what it looks like when it gets fine-tuned. When the synergy is absolutely a thing of beauty. The trust is built up. But people forget Jamal Murray and Nikola Jokic were starting together way back in the bubble. Before the bubble, in fact. In case you forgot, COVID, the bubble, NBA playoffs, Disney World. Some people think that that wasn't a real playoff championship. Actually, it was probably the hardest one ever. Because without fans, everybody's locked in. There's not pressure. I mean, there's your own internal pressure. But you don't have 10,000 fans booing you. You don't have 20,000 fans going, oh, hey, with everything that you do. That's just the reality. And these guys have been playing in front of empty gyms for a lifetime. So they were literally able to play at a maximum. You didn't really have home court advantages. Cortez Whitlow, one of my members, was good, brother. Was good. Talking about a change of the guard for the Detroit Pistons. And so when we think about Jamal Murray and Nikola Jokic and what they've been able to put together, Michael Porter Jr., Aaron Gordon, that crew, that core, what they were able to put together, it took time. They had to take some L's, some big L's together. Remember that series against the Portland Trailblazers? That was a phenomenal series. Oh my God. Quadruple overtime in the playoffs. CJ McCollum, Jamal Murray going back and forth. Dame, Jokic. It was amazing. Amazing series. I remember exactly where I was watching that game. I was like, they're going to another overtime and another one. Heartbreaker. Denver loses that series. Year after year. They needed time together. They needed to have mistakes. They needed to get it wrong. One of the things that we learn in sports psychology, and it works for psychology just in general, is that the brain learns more through failure than it does through success. Allowing yourself to fail is actually how you learn at the most accelerated rate. The difference is how you fail. Some people fail and then they blame themselves. And they feel ashamed and they feel embarrassed and they hide away and they cower. They internalize really bad narratives like, I'm not worthy, I'm not good enough, I'll never be able to make it. That's where failure many times has its most detrimental effect. But in reality, failure is a great teacher. It can refine you, it can improve you, it can make you better. It can help you to see things that you couldn't see before. Okay, I got to improve this, I got to improve that, I got to get better here, I got to get better there. Jamal Murray and Nikola Jokic, that's where they cut their teeth in failure, in time. Giannis, Middleton, Drew, failures, time. If Cade, Ivy, Asar, Duran, that core, Stu, Ron, and I believe Sasser, if they're going to get their championship, if they're going to get it, it's going to take time. SGA, J Dub, Chet, Dort, Isaiah Joe. It took time. It took time. It took time. Eventually, we got to start that clock, yo. Eventually, we have to start the clock. Eventually, we have to give Jaden Ivey, Cade Cunningham, Jalen Duran, Asar Thompson, Stu or Ron, or Ron, Marcus Sasser, Javante, the Weaver boys, right? Eventually, we have to give them the time that they require to fine tune themselves, to get to where they're trying to go. We got to start that clock eventually. And at this point, it doesn't even seem like sooner than later, you know, oh, we might as well. No, it's literally like, hey, we're here. We're here. Ivy is outplaying Duncan Robinson. Clearly. He's just more talented. He brings more to the table on both ends. Clearly. There's nothing more that we should be waiting for. I look, I've said this many times that there are many routes to success. There are many paths. There's not just one. There are many avenues to take. Think about your life versus your siblings' life, versus your parents' life, versus your friends' lives. We all take different paths to find our own degrees of success and experiences to live our lives to the fullest. There's no one route. And so my perspective on how the Detroit Pistons should move forward with Jaden Ivey, putting him into the starting lineup, is not an end-all be-all. It's not now all of a sudden juxtaposed to what JB Bickerstaff is deciding to do along with Trajan Langdon, right? It's not a them this or that, right? It's either me or them, right? It doesn't need to be that. It's just illuminating another perspective. It's saying, you know what, there might be another way to do this. I think this is another way to do this. Get Jaden Ivey in that starting lineup, bruh. Get him in there. I don't know how much longer we need to wait. Like at this point, what are we waiting for? He's out rebounding Duncan Robinson. He's a better defender. On ball. I don't know about off ball, but definitely on ball. He's getting more assists, more steals. He's getting into the paint, playmaking, shot creating, brings some facilitation skills. His athleticism is a real problem that forces teams to have to lean towards him. Make sure you shade towards Ivy because if he gets the ball with too much space, he has that runway, he's already in the paint at the rim. And now our defense has been collapsed. I don't know what more JB needs to see. I've seen the consistent defense. I've seen the effort on defense. Maybe there's a certain endurance that you're looking for defensively. Clifton Means, do I think it's a locker room politics? I don't think it's locker room politics. I think it's more um, front office politics, like contracts, tradability, asset acquisition. There's a certain balance there. I've said this many times in regards to Karis LeVert. If you yank them too early and take their minutes, you can diminish their trade value. And if you diminish their trade value, then what you also diminish is your ability to maximize that asset for the team's improvement. So Duncan Robinson being in the starting lineup, it allows you to promote him as a potentially starting level shooting guard for teams that might desperately need a shooting guard. Think about teams that are saying to themselves, man, if we could just get that guy, how much better could our team be? Right? That's who you're kind of targeting. All that's to say is there could be a dance that takes place between the coaching staff and the front office. Remember, Trajan Langdon brought JB Bickerstaff in. There's definitely loyalty. JB Bickerstaff is not just going to go off the deep end and be like, I'm just going to play who I want to play. You know, that's how people like Tom Thibodeau and what's his name, the coach, old coach for the Denver Nuggets. That's how they get adiosed. That's how they get adiosed. When you start making yourself adversarial. I'm not even implying that JB Bickerstaff is anywhere near there, right? Mike Malone, right? Thank you. I always love my chat. Y'all got all the stats and stuff that I forget. Appreciate you. All this to say is, smash the like button for me. We got 38 people in the chat, 15 likes. It's a small thing for y'all, man. It's a small thing, but it's a big thing for the channel. It makes a difference, for real. It does. Let me just say this: that JB Bickerstaff has been lock in step with Trajan Langdon. So please, when you see moves that JB Bickerstaff is doing, keep in mind it's not solo. It's not by himself. It's not just this random, oh, he's just doing his own thing on the side. No. It's lock and step. So when you see a move that is or isn't being done, don't say JB Bickerstaff. Say the organization. Say Trajan Langdon, JB Bickerstaff, Tom Gore. Right? Talk about them as a collective because that's what they are. It isn't just one or two guys doing their own thing. It is a collective. The moves that are made or not made are done collectively. So when we think about an improvement, when we think about what we believe should take place for this team, we are talking about what the collective is deciding upon. And the collective sometimes has different perspectives. They should. They should. A team owner, team governor should not have the same perspective as the team president, the team general manager, the head coach. They're supposed to bring something different. All this to say is there's a dance. Now, I am more than forthcoming when I say that I think they're doing the dance pretty damn well. Number 1 seed in the East. Second best record in the league. We're killing the game right now. We're ahead of the curve. We're doing everything that we're supposed to be doing. So I don't want to get ahead of myself and start acting like, um, you know, we gotta we gotta light the torch, and get our tiki torches and go and storm the castle and get them to make a change. We don't gotta do that, but we can damn sure talk about it, and that's what we're doing today. That's what we're doing today. We're talking about it, having a discussion, the many paths to success, and this is one of them that we're taking a look at. Pig Mac 2083 in the chat. What's good? That is a great question. Can we even afford? Can we even afford Duran and Jaden Ivey? Well, keep this in mind. Between Duran and Jaden Ivey, it's probably going to cost you somewhere around 60 to 70 million. That's the reality. They're going to cost 60 to 70 million together. Now you got to think the Pistons are already under the cap. They've got about 30 tied up in Duncan Robinson and Karis LeVert. They got another 26 coming off the books with Tobias Harris. So that's about 56, 57 million that's going to get freed up. That has the potential to be freed up over the next year, year and a half. Because Duncan Robinson's contract is not fully guaranteed. Right? Yeah, I hate the cap too. It's bullshit. Clifton means it's bullshit. When we think about a salary cap, it's a made up, contrived concept that gives these owners an opportunity to maximally exploit the game. Remember, they're probably making at least anywhere between 2 to 5 times what they pay the entire roster collectively. At least, bare minimum, they're making two. That means that they're bringing in at least 1.5 billion, at least a year in total revenue, not just basketball related, but everything that's connected to the basketball stuff. Right? The businesses that are started, right? The resources, the service providers, the contracts and the real estate that you get to invest in, that you get to borrow from with banks to invest someplace else. There's so much you could do with the ownership. That's why you see a team like the Milwaukee Bucks selling for billions. And I thought you were losing money. Minnesota thought you was losing money. That's what y'all was talking about. Y'all was losing money. And now we see ratings are back up. Yeah, it's BS. However, we're operating in the now, in the reality. We can change that when they get back to the collective bargaining agreement. We all need to make a big a big push. Don't listen to the Stephen A. Smiths. Don't listen to the sellouts. That'll tell you I don't think that they deserve it. They don't. These players don't deserve it. They're just playing basketball. That's your Stephen A. Smith ESPN impersonation. Straight up Uncle Tom sellout. And he's been very candid about it. He said my bosses are ESPN, Disney, Viacom. I'm rolling with them. I say what they want me to say. I don't bite the hand that feeds me. That's what Stephen A. Smith said, straight out of his mouth. I'm a capitalist. That's what I stand for. That's what he said. So we know that what he talks about when it comes near the time to renegotiate, he's going to try to push the narrative that's going to disadvantage the players and disadvantages the fans. Because now when we're looking at our team and we're talking about, yeah, we got to re-sign Ivy and Duran, and we're like, can we do it? Can we do it? Right? Now we're looking at potentially breaking up our team, our squad, right? These are the ramifications of narratives created by ESPN and such. Narratives are very powerful. Now, let me say this. I think Duran and Ivy are going to get re-signed. I don't think they're going anywhere. If you look at the trend of the NBA right now, talent acquisition and talent holding on to your talent. If you can't trade it for equal or better value, you bite the bullet and you keep it. No one's just losing an asset any longer. No one. Now I know some of y'all been talking about shoot, my fire's going out. I know a lot of y'all have been talking about Trey Murphy the third. Let me be clear, he's not going anywhere. He's not going anywhere. Trey Murphy the third might be one of the best contracts in the NBA. He's not going anywhere. Zion has turned the corner. Zion has not turned in any corner. Zion Williamson has been what he's always been. Talented and unreliable. The reality is we have to think about when you start talking about potentially trading Ivy, you have to really ask yourself for who? For who? For who? Who? Who is out there? Who is this player that another team is willing to get rid of? That says we value Ivy's potential and talent more than our own guys. And keep in mind, they're going to have to sign Ivy. If Ivy goes anywhere, it's going to be after a sign and trade. Pig Mac, exactly. There is no other Ivy. Now, I've said it before. I like guys like Quentin Grimes. Big fan of Quentin Grimes. He's a dog. He's a shooter. He's a scorer. Even got a little playmaking. Is it just me with the insight? Kevin Porter Jr. for Ivy. But that's kind of a wash. It's kind of a wash. Kevin Porter Jr. is a little bit older. Has had some injury issues. Ivy's a little bit younger. KPJ probably has a little bit more feel for the game. Ivy probably has a little bit more dog in him. Ivy's going to defend a little bit more. He's got more Detroit ties. Derek White. If you're Boston, why would you trade Derek White for Jaden Ivey? Like, really, you already got Anthony Simons. You already have Anthony Simons. Why are you going to trade for trade Derek White for Jaden Ivey? I mean, Detroit might want to do it, but not Boston. Not with a returning Jason Tatum next year, potentially at the end of this year. Definitely not Shaden Sharp. Definitely not. He does far less than Ivy. And Jaylen Brown looks like an MVP. So I digress. Let me pull it back a little bit. A changing of a guard in Detroit means that we're taking a step towards our future, towards really embracing what we believe this team can be. We are a really, really good team, extremely talented. We can beat just about anybody. We can. We can. We can. Just about anyone. Yeah, got some chapped lips. Cold in the mug out here on the East Coast. I got some real snow out here. Let me just say, we are a team that is scary, full of potential. But there's a difference between the team that's full of potential and the team that becomes a contender. You want to know what the difference is? Do you want to you want to know what the difference is? It's the difference between Memphis a few years ago and Minnesota. Between Memphis and Minnesota. It's not just the Ja Morant stuff. It wasn't just the Ja Morant stuff. One of the major mistakes that team made, one of the major mistakes that team made was letting Kyle Anderson walk. No, I don't think many blew it by losing Cat. No. No, they knew that Karl Anthony Towns was going to put a ceiling on their success level. And either you were betting on Karl Anthony Towns, the person who could not get you into the playoffs until Anthony Edwards came along or Jimmy Butler came along. All right. Or you were going to bet on somebody else. And they went with Julius Randle, who I think is, I would trust more in a playoff run. I would trust more down the stretch of a game than Karl Anthony Towns. I think Julius Randle is just far better on defense. It just does more for you across the board outside of just scoring. And he's pretty damn good at that too. The difference between Minnesota and Memphis, the Timberwolves and the Grizzlies, is how they constructed this team, their teams over time, where they invested and what they invested in. What they were determined was going to be the focus, the culture, the outlook of the team. And it's a very nuanced thing because the reality is Memphis was right there. Memphis was right there. But they didn't have certain things in place. They didn't have the roster infrastructure that could hold it together. They probably needed to be able to say, we got Bane, we got Ja, we got Jaren, and now we just need a whole lot of vets. A whole lot of vets to hold this thing together. A whole lot of guys who may not be exciting, but they do the right things. They make the right plays. They go exactly where you need them to go. And in the locker room, there's a certain presence when you got family men, when you got grown ass men. They demand a different approach, a different outlook from the young guys. And I think to a degree for these Detroit Pistons, that is something that I've constantly had to factor in. This team is young. And if we're honest, very immature. High character, just very immature. Not bad apples, just really immature. Right? I don't think we got any knuckleheads like guys who want to get caught with a DUI or putting hands on their domestic partner, stuff like that. We don't have that. But we got guys who can lose focus real easily. We got guys who can get distracted, taken out of their games, getting into foul trouble, getting technicals, forgetting the scheme. We have those guys. And so when you have this close relationship with your team, as a coach, as a general manager, you have to be gauging just how much you can take away and put in. That might be what really this team is looking for. Can Jaden Ivey play with the maturity that they need him to replace Duncan Robinson? Because you know the thing you can rely upon with Duncan Robinson is he is going to play the exact role that he is given because he really can't do anything else. Duncan Robinson can't do anything else. You're not going to say, hey, we need you to be a playmaker today. Nope. Need you to be a rebounder today. Nope. Need you to lock down. Nope. Need you to get a block. Nope. Need you to be a scorer. Nope. Shooter? Yes. And he's going to do his job. He is going to continuously, ongoingly, every moment he's out on the court, he's going to play his game because he can't do anything else. Sometimes having too many options can make things hard to find consistency. I'll look up a quote real quick. So I always love this quote. I always love this quote. It says, "A jack of all trades, master of none." Let me see. I want to get the exact. Here we go. Okay. The complete proverb is, "Jack of all trades is a master of none, but oftentimes better than a master of one." This is the juxtaposition between Jaden Ivey and Duncan Robinson. Jaden Ivey can do a lot of things. Play great defense. He can. He can. He can. I'm not saying he does consistently yet. He can. He can rebound. He can get into passing lanes. He can get out in transition. He can finish at the rim. He can explode to the basket. Straight line drives. He can shot create, play make, facilitate. He can be a shooter. He can be a sniper. He can do so many things. But can you rely upon him to consistently do those things? And sometimes this is where sometimes you'd rather just have a master of one. Duncan Robinson. You know what he's going to do. And he's a master at it. He is masterful. Doug McMenamin, yo, happy New Year's, my friend. I appreciate the super chat, man. I appreciate it, man. I really do. Happy New Year's, brother. Sometimes you prefer Duncan Robinson because he's a master of his trait that you know you can build around. You know what it's going to look like. You know exactly what it's going to look like. And sometimes we don't know what it's going to look like with Jaden Ivey. Though I will say Jaden Ivey has been increasingly more consistent. Playing Detroit basketball defense, getting his paint touches, meaning breaking down the defense, getting into the paint, creating for himself and others, knocking down open threes, getting out in transition. He's doing these things more readily and consistently. But we haven't seen the minutes jump. And that's probably the only thing that makes me feel reserved that we may not see it tonight. We may not see Jaden Ivey in this starting lineup for the next couple weeks. Because we haven't necessarily seen the minutes split really switch between Jaden Ivey and Duncan Robinson. And when you look at the slow build that JB Bickerstaff has had, that approach when it's come to Jaden Ivey, that could be a major indicator. When we see Jaden Ivey with 27 minutes and Duncan Robinson with only 12 to 15, and Jaden Ivey is still coming off the bench, that may be a greater predictor of that moment we're about to change over, that we're trying to get to. Yo, Clifton Means, I appreciate the super chat, brother. I really do. Really do. Much love. Uh, you see, grind on NYD, HNY. Yo, what's good, man? What's good, man? Uh, yeah, yeah, man. Let me say this. I've got a lot of thoughts, but I wanna center it here. I wanna center it here. Jaden Ivey's transition to the starting lineup is inevitable. It's Thanos. It's gonna happen. When it happens, we don't know. The minutes uptick might be the greater predictor. Though coming off the bench, it's hard. It's a challenge because you also got guys like Javonte Green, who has the trust of JB Bickerstaff, who's playing amazing defense. He makes defensive plays constantly when he's on the court, similar to like an Asar Thompson or even Ron Holland or Isaiah Stewart. And so Jaden Ivey's minutes are being impacted in that regard. But at the same time, when you look at Duncan Robinson in that starting lineup, it's hard pressed to really see the deserving of the minutes. You see his contribution, but you don't necessarily see it in a vacuum to say, like, hey, if he was all by himself, he is contributing to our winning without necessarily playing alongside Cade and Duran and Asar, guys who are creating opportunities for him. And then you have to look at Jaden Ivey and say to yourself, well, if we put Jaden Ivey into the starting lineup, could he not get the same shot opportunities playing off of Cade Cunningham, Jalen Duran, and Asar Thompson? Could he not give us better defense? Could he not help us to not have slow starts when Cade Cunningham doesn't necessarily have that hop in his step like he did against the Lakers versus the Clippers? Right? Can we not get even more with Jaden Ivey in the starting lineup? And I think the answer is a resounding yes, we can. Yes, we can. Right? Si se puede. Right? Si se puede. Got a little Spanish in it. You know what I'm saying? Got a little, you know what I'm saying? I'm from the West Coast. We got to have a little bit of Spanish. You know what I mean? Yes, we can. We can get more out of this starting lineup. We can get more out of this team with Jaden Ivey in the starting lineup. So whether it happens now, whether it happens in a couple weeks, it's coming. I just prefer to get it started now. Maybe I'm being hasty. Maybe I'm being hasty. Look, hey, you know what? Patience is a virtue, and it's something I've been working on for a long time. Being patient, right? It's important to be patient, right? Say, how did I become a Pistons fan being from the West Coast? Well, I'm a lover of basketball and the NBA. I don't really follow college as much, stuff like that. But the NBA, long standing, since probably kindergarten, follow the NBA. I remember uh, the Detroit Bad Boys going against the Bulls. I'm a little older. Joe Dumars, Vinnie Johnson, Zeke, John Sally, right? Rick Mahorn, Bill Laimbeer, Dennis Rodman. I remember those squads. I even recall the Grant Hill era that never quite was. And then you have the transition over the years. Kind of find diamond in the rough, Rip Hamilton, trading for him from Washington. Chauncey Billups, the journeyman guard, Tayshaun Prince, drafting of what's his name, Darko Milicic over Carmelo Anthony because they had Tayshaun Prince already. Remember that was the theory. Big Ben, and then they go out and they get Rasheed, strike gold, take down the Lakers. I was there, watched that in '04, right? Fresh out of high school a few years. And then I seen the Rodney Stuckey era. I actually had hope for that era. Greg Monroe, Andre Drummond. They just needed to figure that out and get a better complement. They didn't really have that too big continuity down because they didn't have like the complementary pieces around it. But Ben Gordon should have been a lot better than he was. I don't know what happened between Chicago and Detroit. Something happened. But I followed the team for a long time. And Meadow Kirk, facts. Brandon Jennings, with Blake Griffin and them. Uh, there were moments. There were moments. So I followed this team for a long time. And then when they got Dwayne Casey, that's when my eyebrow, because I seen Dwayne Casey when he was in Dallas. Then what he did in Toronto. That was a shame what they did to Casey. Should have allowed him to stay on that team to get that championship. Either way, we saw Nick Nurse got that championship. It was like, I'm out. I don't care about Toronto. You know what I mean? So you gotta be careful on who you bet on. But all that's to say, they got Dwayne Casey, and I was like, okay, they're doing something here. Troy Weaver was there, okay, and they're drafting. Killian Hayes. I mean, people want to kill Troy Weaver for the Killian Hayes pickup. Look, the reality was uh, that was in the bubble. Nobody got to work out players. It was all film. They went with the guy who had a lot of, fanfare, who had a lot of good film. And go back and watch Killian Hayes' film before his draft. It looks great. Looks amazing. He looks like the next James Harden. So you can see why he said, okay, I'll take a risk over him over the Tyrese Halliburton who had the funky shot coming out of Iowa. Right? Everybody acts like in retrospect it was a no-brainer. No, bruh. Everybody had questions. Everybody had issues with Tyrese Halliburton. How is he physically going to hold up? He's wiry thin. We see the injury issues now. So you can't have this revisionist history where you act like you saw it all back then because you didn't. None of us did. None of us did. If we saw this Tyrese Halliburton, the Warriors would have grabbed Tyrese Halliburton instead of James Wiseman at number 2. Charlotte would have grabbed Tyrese Halliburton instead of LaMelo Ball if they knew. Nobody knew. That's why he fell in the draft. All I have to say is I've been following this squad. But then when they grabbed Asar Thompson, that's when I was like, who is this dude? And then when I found out he was from the Bay, where where I'm from, you know what I'm saying? Northern California, not Southern California, Northern California. We're just a different breed up there. We move differently. We got Oakland. We got the Black Panthers. You know what I mean? It's like we got different energy. We got that yada. You know what I mean? We got a little different thing out there. All I have to say is when they grabbed the SAR, I'm just talking about how I became a Pistons fan. I had to say I gotta support my boy. It was either Houston or Detroit. But when I did a video saying that Detroit should have drafted Jarris Walker, which I still think would have been a great pickup. I still think it would have been a great pickup. And then I saw Summer League that first game, and I said, "Oh, I'm not knowing about who Asar Thompson is." No diminishment for Jarris Walker, right? Yeah, is it just me? Yeah, area. E40, baby. E40. Too Short. Mac Dre. Messy Mar. Right? Squad. Tupac. Right? Squad. Run DMC. Run TMC. My bad. Run TMC. Tim Hardaway Jr. I'm sorry, Tim Hardaway Sr. Chris Mullin. Right? Mitch Richmond. One of the best unsung shooting guards of all time. Mitch Richmond. Let me just say this. Pistons are coming. They're coming for the league. They're coming for the league. Jay was good. One of my members. It's good to see you in the chat. It's good to see you in the chat. Glad you made it. The Detroit Pistons are an inevitability. The real question is, can they put it all together? And the real challenge is, how do you put it together? You got to be one hell of a cook. And it's not just one cook in the kitchen. You got several, but they got different roles. You got somebody up front dealing with customers coming to the restaurant. You got somebody who's the head chef in the kitchen. Then you got the guy who's financing the whole thing. Yep, Clifton means, yep, our free throws are a huge concern, totally. Marcus Sasser could be a great solve for that. I think Jaden, I'm going to be honest with you. I think our free throw shooting comes around. I'm not worried about our free throw shooting. I'm not even worried about our three-point shooting. I'm more worried about our maturation. Can we mature fast enough to be ready for our moment? I might do a separate video on that altogether. Can the Pistons mature fast enough to be ready for their moment? Because if they're not ready for the moment, it can come and it can go. Oklahoma City had Kevin Durant, James Harden, Russell Westbrook, Serge Ibaka, Steven Adams, even had Jeff Green. And they get to the finals and they weren't ready for that moment. They weren't. They got blitzed. And they would never make it back until SGA did last season. That core, that group, 3 MVPs, long-standing players, veterans who've had great careers. Jeff Green, right? Serge Ibaka, who got a championship with Toronto. Steven Adams, still around. Had a stint in Memphis. Houston now. great careers. Had Derek Fisher on that squad. They didn't make it over the hump. They never got back. Can we mature fast enough? That's the $1,000,000 question. I might make a post and do a little survey because it could be this year. This could be our look. Please make no mistake about it. This could be our year. This could be our year where we slip through the cracks. We just slide in. Cleveland can't get their stuff together. New York is New York. They still got Towns and his ass to depend upon. Ain't nobody betting on him. Giannis is stuck with a young squad that ain't ready. Knicks seem like they're ready until the pressure comes and Towns, and you depend upon Towns. Right? Who knows? Orlando, Miami. Who's really blocking us? Don't let Cleveland and New York be the second and third seeds and go a 7-game series in the second round and wear themselves out. And we can dispatch a Miami or Orlando in 5 or 6. And all of a sudden, we beat the Knicks or the Cavs in 6 or 7, and we find ourselves in the finals. Are we ready for that? Because the finals are a different beast. The NBA finals are a different beast. The playoffs, each round is a different beast. And your maturity will go a long way. Right? Asar Thompson spent the first 3 games of the Knicks series last season getting into the same foul trouble. And then he started putting his hands behind his back as if he was proving a point. Bruh, get out of your head. Learn the fouls he's trying to bait you with. Figure out a strategy. Execute the strategy. Stop getting caught up in the hoopla. Don't put your hands behind your back because you still got to contest shots. Bruh. Mature. Grow up. Isaiah Stewart with the techs. Duran with the fouls. Cade with the fouls. Then turnovers. Look, I don't want to seem like I'm not down on this team. I'm saying, are we going to be ready for our moment? Because we don't know how long the moment's going to last for. We didn't see Ivy getting his leg taken out by Cole Anthony against the Magic last year to kick off the new year. We didn't see that coming. We don't know. This is sport. This is sports. Injuries happen. Trades happen. What we thought might have been, could have been, might no longer be. Can this team mature fast enough? And I think it's going to start with the changing of the guard because we need to see if Ivy can be mature enough to be a leader on this team. Can he? Can he? I don't know. I don't know. We haven't seen it. We haven't seen it. Get to some of these super chats. Doug McMenamin, yo, appreciate the super chat. Appreciate it. Really do. Really do. Always do. It's just love. Appreciate it. I'm hoping to see Sasser with Ivy a lot more. Somebody said I was responding to a comment. Y'all know I respond to comments, right? Y'all know I respond, like after I post a video. Y'all know I respond to comments, right? I think Marcus Sasser can be our 6th man of the year. I'm dead ass when I say that. I'm not pulling him. I'm not fronting. I'm 100%. Marcus Sasser can be our 6th man of the year. I'm talking about 15 to 20 points per game off the bench with 5 to 6 assists and over a steal. Wouldn't be shocked if he's close to 50, 40, 90. Somebody was reminding me in one of the comments, as a rookie, he was shooting 50, 40, 90 before, what's his name, the coach that shall not be named, Mr. Monty, decided to start messing around with his minutes. Marcus Sasser can be Lou Williams. He can be Jason Terry. He could be a difference maker in the playoffs for a championship run. He could be the guy when Cade is bogged down or in foul trouble. Jaden Ivey, right, doesn't seem to have it. And you bring him off the bench. And he sees that first one go down. Oh, no. Keep in mind, my man Marcus Sasser is fearless. Is fearless. I did a short video. I don't know if y'all seen it yet. Posted it yesterday about Marcus Sasser. Yo, he's been this. He's been this. Yes, he could be our microwave. I know we can't skip steps, and I don't plan on it. I don't think JB Bickerstaff and Trajan Langdon plan on it. Because if you think about Trajan Langdon and JB Bickerstaff, they have moved lock and step incrementally, slowly, bringing back Jaden Ivey, slowly giving more and more minutes to Stu and Ivy with Duran, Asar, and Cade, right? It's been a slow, incremental process. So the changing of the guard, as inevitable as it is, right? I did a podcast with whatchamacallit, Rezball TV. Shout out Rezball TV. REZBALL TV. I did a pod with them maybe a month or so ago. And we were talking about the inevitability of Isaiah Stewart being in the starting lineup because he's far too important to us to have his minutes be split with Jalen Duren. And if you're going to re-sign Jalen Duren, you can't split his minutes. If you're going to give him $30 million, he's a 30-plus minutes per game player now, unless it's a blowout. You can't be giving him 24 minutes splitting with Isaiah Stewart. Not if you're giving him $30 million. 30 to 35. He's going to be an all-star this year. We all realize that, right? Duren's going to be an all-star. More than likely. Now, if he gets robbed, it would help out the Pistons with the cap instead. But I digress. I'm not trying to take nothing away from my boy. Jalen Duren is coming. And these Detroit Pistons have seen it. But they've still been intentional about how they want to bring along Isaiah Stewart alongside of him, Jaden Ivey alongside of Cade, and how all that's going to work together with Asar Thompson. Now, I've said it before. I broke it down a while ago. Go check the annals. I was saying it all last summer. Look, Asar Thompson needs to be point forward. Ivy and Cade coming off the ball, shooters. Isaiah Stewart, pick and pop big, running high lows between him and Duren, or he's in the corner as a stretch big. All right, that's what the offense is going to look like. Cade trying to get the pin down at the free throw line, a la Paul Pierce, and you have Ray Allen. That's how you're going to play Jaden Ivey, coming off screens, catch and shoot, catch, pump fake, try to slash and play make. All right, and then Asar is going to be playing more of that Rajon Rondo role. Does a little bit of everything, except instead of it being playoff Rondo, right? That's just Asar all the time. May not get the double-digit assists, but he should be getting 5 to 7 assists with about 8 to 12 rebounds and about 15 points and about 3 to 4 stocks, that's steals and blocks combined, stocks per game. That's where this is headed. That team with the Ivy over 20 plus points per game, Cade over 25, Duren over 20, Stu with another 15. That's a championship core. That's a team you can legitimately see going all the way. Going all the way. All the way. And when the wheels of change turn, as they tick, a little bit at a time, there will be a changing of the guard. And I can't wait to see it. Yo, I got to get up out of here. But let me just say this. If you haven't already, smash the like button for me, hit subscribe and the bell for notifications. Let me get to that one last super chat I did not get a chance to get to. My bad. Devro87, what's good? My man, shout out to you. Jalen Brunson said it after their series with the Pistons last season. They're no up and coming team. They're here. They're here. Will they be mature enough for their moment this year? Yo, happy New Year's to everybody. I always like to leave y'all with a word for the day. If you haven't already, smash the like button for me. Remember, it's a small thing for you, but a big thing for the channel. If you enjoy this content, if you enjoy interactive live chats, please smash the like button for me. Hit subscribe and the bell for notifications. Select all so you get all the posts and all the shorts and all the stuff that I be putting out there. And also keep in mind, becoming a member. Yo, my members are dope. Like, let me be real. I got some of the dopest members. I love seeing the members in here. I love just the consistency of some of y'all coming back. It just means everything to me. It really does. Uh, so please consider being a member in 2026. Let me say this word for the day: change is inevitable. Change is inevitable, and I say this stuff all the time. Kind of all of it comes together. Our role is to shape that change. We can't fight it. Our role is to shape it. The more we can accept the process, the more empowered we are going to be. But the more we fight the process, the more it's going to fight us. So when things are changing in your life, job, career, family, raising your kids, your partner, your spouse, shoot, you're growing, changing careers, changing outlooks, what you want to do with your life. You're changing. I'm changing. We're all changing. But here's the thing, don't fight it, because when you start fighting it, it's going to kick your ass because change is inevitable and you can't stop it. But when you embrace it, you become empowered to steer it, direct it. You recognize how much power you have to choose and to direct it, to make it what you want it to be. Clifton means, yeah, accept and grow. So I hope all of y'all in this 2026 embrace the changes in your life. Lean into it. Shape it to be beautiful, not just bare minimum, not just, man, this scarcity. I'm just going to do what I have to do. No, 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 no. Make it beautiful, bro. You know, make it great. Shoot for the stars, bro. You got one life. And as life changes, make it everything that it can be. Because it's better to fail at trying to shoot for the stars than to fail shooting for the hilltop. Because then you just end up right back on the ground where you started. So, y'all have an amazing new year. I'm going to get out of here. I got to restart this fire because the shit went out. Damn. Damn. My fire had to spend all that time. But I was on here with y'all. I couldn't tend to it. I couldn't do the things I needed to do to get it to where it needed to be. But it's good. I've enjoyed this tremendously. I'm gonna see y'all. We got the game tonight against the Heat. I'm gonna try to get some heat in this house with this fire, and I'm gonna get at y'all. Peace.